welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti. My guest this evening is Tony Marino, who's the Executive Director of the Rockfall Foundation. Sir, welcome. How are you?
Well, I'm great. Great to be here.
I know.
All, I like your new digs.
You like the new digs?
This
is
really
these,
nice.
Huh?
Yeah, it's been a year since I've been here.
I know.
You've become real professional.
I know. Well, thank you. Long time no see. It has been about a year.
Yeah, it has been.
It has been. So, Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been with the Rockfall Foundation.
Oh, that's a long story. First, I'll start by talking about the Rockfall Foundation.
Okay.
We were founded in 1935 by Clarence Wadsworth, who was a Middletown philanthropist, and he just loved trees and the outdoors. So with his ability to buy open space, he bought a lot of it in the Middletown area and in the shoreline area.
Okay.
And he founded the Rockfall Foundation to help manage that open space property. And this was back in 1935, so we're celebrating our 90th anniversary.
Right.
And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But over time, besides open space, the foundation has developed into a larger environmental nonprofit.
Okay.
Where we put on programs, environmental programs, give out environmental scholarships, and give out environmental grants to other nonprofit schools and municipalities.
Wow. We're a busy organization.
Yeah, we are. We, again, for people that would like to find out more about us, they go to our website, which just go to rockfallfoundation.org, and you'll find out everything that we do. But, our grants is one of the things that most foundations have. Okay. And that was one of the founding things that Clarence Wadsworth started with. All right. So we just got done with our grant cycle for this year. We're giving out 11 grants to 11 different organizations, schools, or municipalities. Okay. And some of them are local here to the Old Saybrook area. In fact, Old Saybrook Middle School will be receiving a grant for an outdoor program. They're partnering with Roger Torrey Peterson Estuary Center, and we're funding the cost of that program. The Valley Shore YMCA will be receiving a grant for their Farm to Table program during the summertime, a summer camp program.
Cool.
And we also provide scholarship money for students or participants that need it for Bushy Hill Nature Center. Sure. Yeah. And also for Two Coyotes Wilderness School. So those are for students or participants that can't afford the registration fee. So we help fund scholarships so that so as many people that can participate in those programs have the opportunity to.
Now, let's say somebody is a receiver of a grant. Is there a waiting period for the time that they can re-enroll? Can they re-enroll year after year?
No, year after year, yes. Matter of fact, the YMCA is one of the examples of that. They've been funded for this program for the last 3 or 4 years because it's such a great program. It hits so many of the highlights that we would like to see. First of all, it is geared towards younger people. Okay. And it teaches them about how to grow vegetables. Right. Because it's all tied to it's all tied to the community garden that's at the YMCA. Okay, sure. They have a very large community garden there that supports the shoreline soup kitchens, pantries. Right. So the students go and they work in the community garden. They learn how to plant. They learn about the importance of locally grown produce. They learn about nutrition. And they also learn about giving back, because they also learn that the produce or the vegetables that they're planting go to the shoreline food pantries, right, and helps people that otherwise wouldn't be able to avail themselves of locally grown produce. Exactly.
Wow, it's a very
so it's all it's all about. Our grants are all about environmental education. Right. So not only to young people, but for the whole entire spectrum. But this certainly hits a lot of the high spots, the Y grant.
Let's talk about some of the other grants that you guys offer.
Yeah, last year we funded over at Bushy Hill. Yep. They run a pretty extensive summer program for
Yes.
youth of all ages.
Yep.
And again, we were able to provide some scholarship money for them for that purpose. For Deer Lake, which is the old old Boy Scout camp that they were able to acquire. They have a very extensive rock climbing a part of the camp, the wilderness camp, and they needed to buy more secure harnesses.
Right.
And so we provided some funding for them to buy these newer harnesses.
Oh, cool.
That not only allow are safer for people with normal mobility, but also allow people with limited mobility to participate in the climbing effort.
Wow.
Yeah. So other grants go to another grant that will be awarded this year. Will go to a cemetery in Deep River,
Okay.
where they have notable trees that are old and they're at the end of their life cycle.
Okay.
And it's a forested cemetery, so they would like to replace those trees.
Really?
So they did a survey on what trees needed to be replaced, and selected a number of native trees that they're going to plant in place of the ones that need to be removed.
Cool.
So again, we're helping that cemetery remain a park-like atmosphere and planting more trees. We all want more trees.
Yes. Now, as far as when you give out your grants, do you do that at like an annual meeting?
The board approves the grants. We have a grants committee.
Okay.
So we start with a grant workshop in September.
Okay.
Where people can come and ask questions about how you apply for a grant.
Okay.
And then in November, grant applications are due, and those applications are on our website. And once they're due, staff, myself and my colleague compile them all for the grants committee. The grants committee meets in December and reviews all the grants, and they meet as many times as necessary to review those grants, figure out which ones meet all the criteria that we're looking for, and then allocate the budget that we have for grants amongst the ones that they'd like to fund. So some grant applications are fully funded, and some grant applications are partially funded.
Right.
It's all based on the amount of money that we have to grant.
Now, how lengthy is the grant application?
We make it as simple as possible. Matter of fact, even when we have our grant workshop, we explain to people how to fill it out. There is certain language that professional grant writers use to fill out grant applications for very large, complicated grants.
Right.
And there's something called grant speak.
Okay.
It's not really understandable. So we ask anyone that fills out our grant application to put it in plain English.
Right.
Tell us what you want to do. Give us a solid budget that we can understand.
Right.
And again, then the grants committee will review it against the criteria that we have, and hopefully your grant would be accepted.
And then if your grant wasn't accepted, do you let them know that?
Oh, absolutely. We also we give them the opportunity to meet with us.
Okay.
To go over why their grant wasn't successful in the current year, and if it makes any sense for them to apply again in the future.
Wow. Very. Now, as far as Mr. Wadsworth goes,
Yeah.
let's tell us about him.
Well, again, he was a Middletown philanthropist.
Okay.
He lived in the Covent House Community Center for a while,
Right.
While he was building what is known as the Mansion at Long Hill, which is now an event venue in Middletown.
Okay.
And he kept the Covent House as his offices. And again, he just liked trees and he liked open space. So with part of his inheritance, he bought open space property. In his passing in 1942, 300 and some odd acres were donated to the state of Connecticut, which created Wadsworth Falls State Park.
Okay.
And then the rest of the property was left to the board of directors of the Rockfall Foundation to figure out what to do with.
Okay.
Some of it was sold to the state of Connecticut for other extensions of state parks. because they needed to create a fund to help maintain what was left.
Now, as far as how big is your board of directors?
Right now it's 11, it can go up to 15.
Okay, all right.
And it's a pretty diverse group. Again, our service area is the lower Connecticut River Valley, which is Middlesex County plus Lyme and Old Lyme.
Right.
So we try and have board members that represent the entire service area of the lower Connecticut River Valley.
Okay. And obviously, do you guys do community outreach events and get out in the community and do?
We certainly do.
I could think of one in particular.
Which one is that? No, you tell me.
The Chili Festival.
Oh, the Chili Festival.
In Old Saybrook.
Yeah. Again, that's dualfold for me because I serve on the Old Saybrook Chamber Board.
Right.
And through that involvement, I got to be more familiar with the Chili Fest and actually also the 5K run that they co-sponsor with the Exchange Club.
Yes, that's correct.
So in my participation with the Chamber Board, I went to the Chili Fest and I found out that they were not as sustainable as they probably could be. So Rockfall Foundation, again, sponsors the cost of compostable cups that are used for the tasting of the chili. And then Old Saybrook Chamber contracts with Blue Earth Compost to collect all that composted material and then have it professionally composted. What we were able to achieve from that is 1,000 pounds of compostable material that used to go into the garbage cans is now composted and turned into soil.
Cool.
I also got involved volunteering for the Old Saybrook Exchange Club 5K.
Yep.
And the first time I went there, I noticed that they were using single-use water bottles.
Yes.
And also they provide the runners at the end of the race with bagel bits and banana parts. And I noticed that they were throwing that all away in the whatever was left over was being thrown away into the garbage. So that particular year when I saw that, I collected all the compostable bottles and recycled them.
Okay.
And I collected all the food waste and brought that to our facility where we have a collection area with Blue Earth where it was all put in the compost barrel and was composted. Since then, Rockfall sets up water stations at the beginning and the end of the race, same location at the fort, and we provide water in compostable cups. So we've eliminated all of the single-use water bottles.
Right.
And we also still collect all the food that is not consumed at the race and have that composted.
Would you mind sticking around for another segment?
Sure.
All right, we'll be right back. Come on in.
Welcome to Short Things.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show.
Hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment.
TV for the Valley Shore community. The SCTV for the Valley Shore community.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti, sitting here with Tony Marino from the Rockfall Foundation. Welcome back, sir.
Well, again, great to be here.
Well, thanks for sticking around. So we were talking a little bit in the first segment about grants, and you guys give away different types of grants to different types of people. So let's talk about grants. But I also understand that we have a fundraiser coming up.
Yeah, we do.
Let's talk about it.
Well, we're very fortunate to partner with the Saybrook Point Resort and Marina.
Yeah.
They help sponsor our Oysters at the Point event. It's a major fundraiser for the Rockfall Foundation, and the proceeds that we receive from that event go to support our grants and environmental education programs.
Okay.
Every year we look to give out more and more money into the community for grants and educational programs. Mm-hmm. And this is the second year that Saybrook Point has stepped up to help us, and we really appreciate it very much. The event is called Oysters at the Point. It's going to be on May 4th this year. And again, it's at Saybrook Point Resort, and it's held outside facing the marina. And last year it was just a wonderful, wonderful time for everyone that came. Over 300 people were in attendance.
Wow.
Oysters, we had over 2,000 oysters which were consumed totally. They have other food opportunities there too.
Oh, yeah.
Lobster rolls and fried oysters and some other non-fish dishes.
Okay.
It just worked out perfectly for us, and we're so glad that we can do it again. They have Mercine Ale will be there with the beer selections. They have some wine and liquor vendors that will be giving out samples of their products, and there's other vendors there as well. And everyone just had a great time. There's a live band playing the whole afternoon. Again, it's May 4th from noon to 3 o'clock.
Okay.
All the net proceeds come again to support Rockfall's grants and educational programs.
Now, how'd the idea of the fundraiser come about?
Well, years ago, Rockfall used to put on a very small oyster event.
Oh, okay.
First of all, you have to understand oysters are very sustainable.
Yes.
They do a lot to clean Long Island Sound. Mm-hmm. When they take in water from the Sound, they purify it.
Okay.
And so they help maintain the quality of the water in Long Island Sound.
All right.
They're also the state of Connecticut is enhancing the oyster industry by supporting them and really marketing Connecticut oysters more than ever before. So oysters are a thing.
Right.
And so we started out with a very small event, which we had to stop because of COVID.
Right.
And then I know the general manager from Saybrook Point Resort, and it just seemed like a natural match.
Okay.
So I met with him, and he agreed that they'd like to help support us, and they'd like to have that kind of event at the resort. And he took what we had as a very small event, and they really made it into a major event for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're so pleased.
Yeah. Now, you guys, like we talked in the first segment, you guys work very closely with the Old Saybrook Westbrook Exchange Club as well.
Yes. Well, at least for the 5K week.
Right, for the 5K race.
Yeah. And as I explained, we brought sustainability by eliminating single-use water bottles and composting the leftover food. Making that event very sustainable.
And what other type of work does the Rockfall Foundation do that we can get the word out?
Well, first of all, as I said, this is our 90th anniversary.
That's right.
You joke with me if I'd been there from the very beginning, and some people think I have. But that's not quite true.
No, of course not.
This is our 90th celebration year, and everything that we do, whether it be a program that we've been doing for years, or a special program that we're going to have in October, it's all going to be geared towards celebrating our 90th anniversary.
Okay.
On October 9th, I believe it is, we'll have our annual grants and awards celebration where we have all of our grantees from the current year come and set up and have a tabletop display explaining their grant. And we also give out environmental awards to notable people from the lower Connecticut River Valley that have done significant work in the environment in this area.
Okay.
So we'll be also giving out those awards. The event's going to be at the Wadsworth Mansion this year. Typically, it's at our building, the Coven House.
Right.
But we expect this to be a bigger event. So we're able to use the Wadsworth Mansion for this function.
I've never been to the Wadsworth Mansion, but from what I see on TV, it's very nice.
It's beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
again, it was
Right.
it was our founders'
Exactly. I was
house.
going to ask, is that the founders?
Yeah. Clarence Wadsworth not only founded the Rockfall Foundation and donated the land that created Wadsworth Falls State Park, but he built the Wadsworth Mansion, which now is owned by the city of Middletown.
Oh, okay.
And is run by a semi-public organization called the Long Hill Estate Authority as a event venue, mostly weddings, but they also do concert series and they do a lot of different other corporate meetings there as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so he had a significant impact on the Middletown area, Clarence Wadsworth. He established what is called the Arboretum, which is the road that he used to take between the mansion and the DeCoven House when he went to work.
Okay.
Or he planted in a boulevard a series of notable trees that have been there ever since he did that. And it's now maintained by the city of Middletown and Wesleyan University.
All right.
So he was a tree guy. He loved trees, and he didn't like to see anyone cut them down.
No, absolutely not. And as far as where your corporate offices are, you guys are right on Route 9.
We are basically on Route 9.
Literally.
Yes, we are. We're actually in the corner of DeCoven Drive and Washington Street.
Yes.
But DeCoven Drive abuts Route 9.
Right.
So whenever you hear about the issues of the stoplights on Route 9 and the traffic on Washington Street,
You guys are right there.
We're ground zero.
Yes.
But yes, the DeCoven House, the original part of the DeCoven House, was built in 1793 by Captain Benjamin Williams,
Okay.
who was a seaport captain, because at the time Middletown was a major port for trade between Connecticut and the East and West Indies.
Okay.
So being a major port, there were several sea captains that had houses along the main area of Middletown. From some of the bigger houses at Wesleyan were former sea captains' houses.
Oh, wow.
And ours was, again, built by Captain Benjamin Williams. So we maintain it. It's it's restored to historic beginnings.
Okay.
Is run as a nonprofit community center. It's called the DeCoven House Community Center.
Okay.
In it are Rockfall's offices plus 7 other nonprofits. And we also have 2 community meeting spaces. One larger space that holds up to about 70 people, and one smaller one that's more like a boardroom that can hold 15 people.
Okay.
And they're available for people to rent at very nominal rates.
Really?
Well, it's the DeCoven House is part of our mission.
Right.
So whether you're using some of our office space or you utilize some of our meeting space, it's all done at very modest fees.
Now, what is the mission of the Rockfall Foundation?
Now you're testing me.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. It's to support environmental education and conservation in the lower Connecticut River Valley.
Okay.
I think I passed that one.
Very good. Very good.
So everything we do, again, we're not an advocacy group, so you won't see us up in Hartford advocating for environmental bills.
Right.
Clarence Wadsworth, in his will, which established the Rockfall Foundation, didn't want us to be rabble rousers. So that has been interpreted by several people to say that we should be concentrating on conservation and education, and not creating issues.
Okay.
So we're very firm in that. So that's why we concentrate on the kind of programs that we put on. So if you want to learn about invasive plants,
Right.
and how to remove them from your yard, we do run 2 programs a year on some Rockfall property, where we have invasive plant problems, but we run a workshop there
Really?
to show people how to identify them, number one, the proper way to remove them, and also what happens to your property when you do get rid of environmental invasive plants, which is the natural plants come back.
They do?
Yes, they do.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, that's just one of the small programs that we run. We also do a monthly event that we call Meet Your Greens,
Okay.
where we have a environmental speaker come to a local establishment. When I say local, anywhere in the lower Connecticut River Valley.
Right.
Where people can gather, order some food, a beverage, and then listen to a speaker on environmental topic, talk for about 20 minutes, ask questions, and then socialize some more. So it's like a meetup.
Cool.
And meet up with an educational component to it.
Very cool. And those are held how often?
Once a month.
Once a month? Okay.
10 times a year.
Okay.
We don't do August, and we don't do December.
No, absolutely not. And those are held at your offices?
No, those are held at restaurants or bars throughout the lower Connecticut River Valley.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, well, again,
Yeah.
we want people to be able to purchase some food and a beverage of their choice.
Right, exactly.
Enjoy, relax a little bit. It's a very social atmosphere. We get between 20 and 35 people at a particular Meet Your Greens, and it depends a little bit on the venue and also the speaker. The one coming up in February is February 20th, and I don't know if you know Kim O'Rourke. She was the recycling person, it's a sustainability person for the city of Middletown. She did that for over 33 years, and she just recently retired.
Oh, wow.
So we work closely with her in terms of learning about sustainability and recycling, but also supporting each other. So our February 20th Meet Your Greens will be at Perk on Main, which is a restaurant on Main Street in Middletown, and we'll be honoring Kim. We won't have a speaker per se, but she will be there, and anyone who wants to come and thank her for all the effort that she put into making Middletown more sustainable and educating us about sustainability, they'll have the opportunity to do that.
Tony Marino from the Rockfall Foundation, thanks for some time, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Okay, great.
You got it. Thanks, honey.
Thank you.
On behalf of Tony Marino, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks, good night, and we'll see you next time.